You're listening to the Precision Shooting Podcast, discussing all aspects of precision and long-range rifle shooting. This episode is brought to you by STS Steel Targets, premium shooting targets and accessories. And now, over to your hosts.
Well, hello and welcome to the Precision Shooting Podcast. This is episode number 67. My name is Rusty, and joining me tonight are a couple of, familiar voices, although they haven't been on a podcast for a little while. Those of you guys who have been listening for a while will remember Mr. Ben Johnson from the Armoury. How are you, Ben?
Good, Rusty. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. We're actually at your place.
You are.
I'm feeling very welcomed up here actually right now. And also sitting here is Dan Inkle.
G'day, mate. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. You're putting your voice on differently for this episode.
Yeah.
So Dan's been on a couple of episodes. I think you guys have been obviously both on the Flinders one. Yeah, a little while ago.
It was a good time.
That was epic. That was the best podcast I've been involved with for a long time.
I think you're referring to the Uncensored podcast.
Oh, yes,
perhaps.
that one. Yeah, that was good. That was really good. The 2-hour Uncensored one. That's right.
That's right. And then we also, I think you both were on the one we did from the pub. Actually, that was you were both on that one.
Mm-hmm.
And
I didn't see that one coming.
No,
you snuck me in on that one.
I did. I said, "Hey, you get on." And and then also Ben, you've been on the one we did at Shot Expo in Sydney last year.
Yep.
So there's a bit of a history lesson. All the is there any other appearances that you remember? No.
Not that I can think of.
No, but anyway, that'll do it. So you guys are perhaps familiar with these voices, but Dan does some stuff with Impact Dynamics, and Ben runs the Armoury up north of Adelaide, and so two gentlemen who are fairly involved in the shooting side of things, and these guys might appear from time to time a little bit more if you guys are happy to. Love to have you on from time to time because you have plenty of experiences. You think? Yeah, I talk to your people.
We'll see how tonight goes.
Yeah, no, that's very cool. So I wanted to ask you guys, before we get into our main topics for the night, is a little bit about your shooting experiences and maybe a little bit about some of the gear you're running. So Dan, start with you, mate. Tell us about some of the calibers you sort of are pretty familiar with or you run currently. What sort of stuff you're doing?
I'm pretty much all about Ackley improved these days.
Yep. Yeah, we know that.
If you go back far enough, I've always had a 22-250, but seem to be using that less these days, so I'm thinking about rechambering it.
Okay.
No, sorry,
into
Ben.
22-250 Ackley?
No.
Right.
Might be a 7mm something, I think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's and what are you using mostly now?
My 243 Ackley. Yeah, it's my workhorse.
Yep.
It's my go-to. It's the only thing really shooting at the moment. So.
That's right. You've got other guns that are not quite playing the game.
No, but yeah, and I also have a 308 Ackley, which I'm still working on. We had some issues with dies and so forth, but it's an ongoing battle. But
do you know
the thing shoots, and it's really good.
I think it'd be really interesting once you do resolve these problems, because we don't want to bring up sore points with you right now.
Yeah, sure.
So once you do resolve those problems, we do a podcast about the problems you've had, because they've been interesting. It's been a real learning curve.
Oh, totally.
Not only just for you, but those watching in the background.
Yeah.
It's been kind of seeing stuff I've never seen before.
Yeah,
especially
I've always
people doing wildcat calibers. You know, that's
I was going to say I've always been sort of mainstream. I've never been one for the custom and the hot rod stuff, and I've just sort of fallen in that hole somehow. It's all about that now these days. Yeah,
fighting with things to make them work. Yeah, very good. And what your 243, which is the main one? What gun's that?
It's just a Hauer.
What do you mean just a Hauer? It's a Hauer.
Just a good old cheapo Hauer. I've had it from new. Burnt the first barrel out, the factory barrel, which went a long way. I got over 4,000 rounds with, and it got hammered hard. I ran it hot. It spent its last probably 1,000 rounds of life as an Ackley, which I made all my brass from. And I'm surprised I got what I did out of it, because it was running, like light pills really fast. It's got a swan barrel on it now, which is probably maybe got 1,000 rounds left in it. Yeah, okay. Yeah. And once that's done, it'll have its third barrel on.
And the action's still going strong.
Action's good, yeah. I've Nick Halliwell's trued it for me. Yep. We haven't had to fix anything on it. It's still going strong.
Yeah, sweet. Yeah, very good. And
what's it on? Is it just on standard Hauer stock, or what have you got on?
It's that's about to be changed. Oh. Yeah. Yeah,
Leading question, leading the witness.
Revealing things we're not meant to.
yeah. We're getting a bit ahead of ourselves here, but it's in an Axiom stock. But I've currently got a custom chassis being built, which should be on in about a month.
Nice.
So, there'll be pictures of it everywhere once it's done.
Oh, we'll make sure we share them out as well.
Yeah,
that
cool.
would be good fun. And Ben, what about you, mate? What are you running the most? I know you've been pretty excited about a couple of things recently.
Yeah, well, I recently invested in a massive thing. I bought a Seiko M10, so that's been my dream gun for the last probably 7 years, I would say. And finally sold enough kidneys and everything else to be able to buy it and run it that way.
Brilliant.
I also started out with 250 as my favorite caliber. I actually
Makes three of us.
used to do a lot of roost shooting up north when I lived in Wyala. So we used to go out and do a lot of culling up there just to help the farmers out.
Yep.
So, and then got into understanding a little bit more about long range and precision shooting and stuff like that. So instead of just having a laser beam like the 250 was, I wanted to see what the capabilities of some other guns were, and the M10 has just been really impressive.
Yeah,
Really
because that's switch barrel, isn't it?
Yeah, so you've got 308, 300, and 338 Lapua Magnum off of it, and the barrel switchover process takes about 5 minutes.
Yep.
Comes with its own torque wrench and toolkit and everything like that, so you'd expect for that much on a gun. But the loads and doing the load development on it, the results have been really impressive, really, really good. So.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm in love with that. I still love my 243 as well. That's probably the workhorse that I've got. I've got a Seiko 85 that I do most of my varminting with, and so that gets a lot of work.
Yeah, excellent. Very good. And how's that 338 going? Because that's your most recent acquisition.
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah, it's good. It's really good. We did some fun 1,000-meter tests with it, and
Tests.
yeah, and it's just
It shoots well.
I'm holding 6 mil.
Are you talking about the time I was here?
Yeah,
Yeah,
at 1,000 meters, I'm like holding 6 mil, which is mental. And 15. When Dan was here, we were doing 15-mile-an-hour winds, and it was just like we're just looking at it, going, "What's that?" You know?
Yeah. So what you're telling me is you haven't quite stretched the legs on it yet?
No,
Only 15
not
mile
at
an hour
all.
winds.
Not at all.
No, there's plenty of time.
Yep.
Plenty of time to go with that.
Yep.
Fantastic. Excellent. And that probably brings us on to what do you guys shoot sort of on a regular basis? What type of
These
shooting
days,
do you do and stuff?
steel.
Steel? Yep.
Probably the majority of it. Yeah.
Yep. And but sort of long range shooting, I guess, is majority of what you're doing.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and it's long range, either hunting or just target shooting or practice and that sort of thing. So.
But you guys are both pretty keen varmint hunters as well, aren't you?
Totally.
Yeah,
Yep.
spotlighting and that sort of thing. You
Yeah.
did it.
You would have
Why not?
seen how many foxes are hanging on the fence on your way in. There's 4 up there at the moment. So yeah,
I didn't because I couldn't see past the lights on Dan's car.
Yeah.
I had my light going.
Oh yeah, did you?
Yeah. So yeah, okay. Well, that's good. I guess there's so many. The story for so many of us is that's the case. Is that we get into the spotlighting and want to push it further and further. That's certainly Badco's story. Is that he sort of was going, well, I need to be able to learn to shoot further, and we do that, and then go, hang on, this is quite fun. This is quite good, and it really develops further and further.
You catch the bug pretty quickly. It's very easy to do. That's for sure.
So am I the only person, just made me think of something, who's been out hunting, seen a fox or whatever, and perfect chance to take the shot and gone, nah, too close. Like 100 meters away or 200. You've never done that, Ben?
I've done that.
You've done?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
Too,
I thought it
too
might be
close.
crazy.
No way. You go too close, it's
Yeah.
like, come on, dude, you don't even have a chance.
Yeah.
I mean, there's one fox that was coming at us one night when we were whistling him up, and he was running at the spotlight.
It's great when they
And it
do
was like, okay, the trajectory is shrinking radically because he's going so fast. And it was like, look, if you want him, you can have him. 'Cause I'm not shooting that. That thing is dumb ass. So
Yeah, I've seen that. I've had one coming at the ute. I had a mate on the back of the ute, and this thing's running at us, and I kept whistling, and my mate's going, make it stop, it's getting closer. And before long, it's like you could hear the fence, like going twang, 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 because it's running. I'm like, it's coming to get you, man. Shoot.
Yeah, that's right. It's a
zombie
fox. Yeah, that's right.
The shot was never taken.
Exactly.
I like that the fox was coming to get it. What's it going to do?
Yeah, I know.
Anyway.
He was one of them guys you could play with, he believed it.
New shooter.
City boy.
That's right. City guy.
Southern.
That's it. Yeah, that's right.
Nice. And you know what, Dan? I'm not sure I've passed up a fox because it's too close. I've passed up other game because it's too close, but not a fox.
Yeah, okay.
Rabbits, goats, but I think I'm always happy to take a fox, sort of no matter what.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think the reason I
bare
had
hands
is because
or whatever, whatever we need.
You put your rifle down and just use a shotgun if they're that close.
I went through this stage of trying to shoot them further and further and record it, So
I remember that stage. Yeah,
out my way, I would see them all the time, and I would my job was doing a lot of farm work and stuff, so I could do recon and work out where that fox was all the time. He'd always hang out there, so I could set up a stage on a hill nearby, and so I would sometimes come across him when I didn't expect it and didn't want to, and 50 metres running across the road, and I'm like, no, I'll take him tomorrow morning and try and get him at 700.
So it was a delayed harvest is what it was.
I think that's where the circumstances, because, for me to go shoot a fox and be able to shoot, I can see them literally on my front lawn.
Yeah.
I've seen 3 of them out there, and I live in very much suburbia, but to actually go and shoot one, I'd need to drive 45 to an hour away, really.
Yeah.
And so if I'm going to see one, I'm going to take it. I'm going to take it. Whereas
we could just walk out the door behind you there, and
there could actually be one in the shed behind us.
That's right, exactly.
So fair enough. So that's perhaps why I've never passed up I've certainly missed foxes. I've not intentionally passed them up.
Yeah, we all have. No kidding.
Well, hang on, we don't miss, do we, Ben?
Yeah, I do.
It's only
that didn't work.
Yeah.
There's 2 honest people in the room. Good, excellent. And Ben, we were up in Brisbane a few weeks ago. How long was that? Yeah,
we were. What is it? 3 weeks?
That's nearly a month.
3 weeks at least. Yeah, exactly. Yep.
And I know we touched on it with Greg last episode, but how did you like the show? Was there anything that was notable? I mean, we mentioned, I think the other week about the Victrix rifles and a couple of bits and pieces. Was there anything that grabbed your attention that was out and kicking about?
Yeah, I went around. Obviously, we're fairly inundated at any of those shows anyway.
Yep.
So to get away to actually look, it was interesting how the traffic came through. Actually, when people were looking around, and it would sort of wave through. So when everything died down, we were able to walk around and look. There was some. We went and had a look at the push button return centerfire rifle that's now making an entrance into the market.
Okay.
Where it's basically...
Is that orange coloured?
Well, no, there's not an orange. It's like it looks like an 870 shape. So it's just like most semi-auto rifles. Mm-hmm. Except what happens is on the return, you push a button on the right-hand side, it drops the lever, and then rechambers the next round. So Stewie and I went and had a look at one of those when we were there, and... interesting concept. It's definitely set up more for a boar hunting type rifle engagement. Like you want a quick follow-up shot and all that sort of thing, or else you're going to get tusked or whatever. So very very European in the way it's set up. Very much like the Morale, I think it is, that Winchester are doing.
Yep.
So very beautifully made though. Like, the walnut stalks and the engineering on them were really nice. So that was cool to look at one of those. And we just played with it briefly to have a look. It's always good to see familiar faces in those shows. So seeing all the usual other companies that are there and being able to catch up with them and, the Lithgow guys and be able to talk with them and what they're going through and what they're doing, even though I think one of them was just coming for guest speaking.
Just showing off, really.
Yeah, I think he was just showing off, really. So, which is great. And then I went and had a look at the, I know I'm going to get this wrong, outer edge projectiles as well.
Yes.
And I went and had a really long chat with him about some of because obviously getting into the 338 and 300 long range shooting, I wanted to have a chat about his projectiles and twist rates and all that sort of thing. And it was really cool. He's a very knowledgeable man.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, we're going to continue to grow that relationship, I think, too, to see what it's like and what progresses from it. So
yeah, well, so with Projectile Warehouse, there's now stock in them.
Beautiful.
And they should be in stock later this week.
Excellent.
So if you're needing some of those, check out them. But you're right, they look really good. And certainly keen to sort of get some down range and spend some time.
Yeah, exactly.
Using some. And they're also not, for what they are, they're not ridiculously expensive.
No, I was very surprised.
Yeah, compared to the competition in that, and you got to remember it's within that category because they're monolithic projectiles. And they're quite well priced and local, meaning that availability should be a lot better. So it'll be interesting to see how they go. Keen to try them. I'm planning on trying them in my 338.
Yeah, I want to see what they look like too.
Yeah, as well as maybe the 260.
Yeah.
Could be good as well.
Yep.
So now that rifle you're talking about, was that the Riverman OAF? Does that ring any bells?
No, I think it's an interesting. It's an interesting name. I'll find out while you're talking to Dan, and I bet you I'll get to it in a second. I'll Google search it as well.
Nice. And how was Shot Expo for you, Dan?
Well, I just fell asleep. I wasn't listening. So I wasn't there.
Sorry.
So I was out here missing foxes.
Yeah.
And
I thought you didn't
missed
miss.
it
I thought you didn't miss foxes.
Apparently I do. So.
Oh, okay.
He's all of a sudden
Just
got
trying to
humble.
make you all feel better.
Oh, brilliant. Excellent. So Ben has not been able to find what this gun is called, so we shall move on from that, and he'll probably be distracted throughout the podcast now.
Moving on, Ben.
Looking
on.
for that.
I'm not going to move on. I'm going to message Stewie right now to find out so he can freaking let me know.
Stu was going to can actually be here tonight, but then had a parenting class on.
Just tell everybody. If you're like, Rusty!
And I sort of was going to say to him that, mate, whatever, hey, 2 hours or something for your parenting class, you're not going to learn enough about parenting in 2 hours. It's not worth it. We'll teach you more. We're all dads. We'll teach you more in an hour of podcasting about parenting. I mean, just trying to keep you two in line is challenging enough. I mean,
hey, that's right. Amen to that. Okay, we'll see what happens. Message sent.
Message sent. We're underway. Cool. So,
move on.
We shall. Is there anything you guys wanted to make mention of? Any?
I could go at coffee.
Yeah, good. We'll have to come back to that.
Oh, the look I got.
My wife already gave you one, pal.
That was a look of, you can make your own damn coffee.
That's right. You know where the coffee pot is.
I hope you bought your own coffee because that's the only way you're getting some. Yeah, good. So, but nothing else apart from beverages that you want to make a mention of? Any equipment you guys are staring down or anything you're working on or anything along those lines?
Oh, I got the Radius, Silencer Co. Radius working on the M10 at the moment now. It's really cool.
Nice.
Re-zeroed it the other day.
Oh, speaking of which, that's the one I keep mentioning that I ordered from you and never got, but also we were on the second Irish pub when I ordered to.
That's right, yeah, that's right. I'm still waiting for that payment to go through. It just never happened, so that's why it just never eventuated.
Badco keeps reminding me that I perhaps should have bought it up with you the next day.
Yeah.
Which is
the Irish pub's not a good idea.
No, especially the second Irish pub. So
no, that's
it's
right.
probably a fair call. But anyway, now I've told you about it, and now we can ignore it for another 3 months.
Yes, well.
So, but you've got one that's working well.
Yeah, they're working really, really good. So I've been doing some day tests and night tests with it. Mm-hmm. It's called a Venroy Caron. Is the rifle?
Verny Caron.
That's the one.
Yes,
that's the rifle we looked at.
Where's that made?
Italy
or something. Yeah, Europe somewhere.
I think. Yeah, I made that
He
up.
thinks he spelled it wrong on the message, so that's fine. But yeah.
Yeah, I know the ones. Yeah, they do look good.
They're just, it was a pretty gun. I don't know, practically probably not a long range style rifle.
Why are we talking about it?
It's a really, it was a really
Dan's lost interest.
small barrel as well, like a real sporter, lightweight barrel on it. So.
Yeah,
Dan was fluted. That rest my case.
Dan doesn't go well with thin metal. As we found out before, he couldn't open the pack of Oreos.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it was too thin for him. He's trying again. He still can't get the damn thing. Help him out, Ben. All right. Well, guys, if there's nothing else to bring up, we are going to move into our topic for the night, which is basically along the lines of, do you hold or do you dial? Yeah, that's the gun.
Yep.
I can see.
Yep.
I remember it. I've seen it.
Beautiful.
Let it go, Ben.
So back to the topic.
Just saying I found it.
He's so proud about the
Leave
fact.
me alone.
I found it.
Thank you, my friend.
I had to message someone to
Stewie,
get them to
thank you.
remind me, but
Thank you, Stewie.
yeah, thanks,
Love you.
Stewie. Enjoy
He
your
does this, Rusty. He'll just talk over you.
enjoy. I can
Enjoy your parenting course.
see
Just blow.
the really good thing about that is I can just mute him pretty
Oh,
quick.
cool. Look
So,
at that.
There
Hey,
we go.
Mr.
No-
American,
no more-
can you hear me?
I
I'll
can
bring-
hear you, but the viewers can't.
I'll bring you back into it there, Ben. You're back on task. Oh, good.
Okay.
So I don't know if you heard the topic mentioned, but it was a few minutes ago.
Really?
Yeah, we got distracted.
I was still looking at the thing.
The thing.
Yep,
Yeah, good.
yep.
Good. And it was about, do you hold or do you dial? Now, of course, talking about scopes and adjustments and such like that. So I guess there's two main ways of applying that information you have is some people will dial up their turrets up and down and left and right, a bit of both or whatever it is. Then others will hold. They'll use their reticle entirely. They won't touch their turrets, and away they go, and they'll point where they need to with their reticle. Generally, the Christmas tree reticles are more favourable for that sort of thing. And then some people do combinations of both. So what about you guys? What do you do?
All three.
Dan?
Yeah, okay.
All right.
I
Then
said this wasn't going to go long. But
You
I
said
just
this
thought
was
of
gonna be a
whole
small-
area to talk about here. all
I
right?
knew it would happen.
All right, so hunting environment.
okay, let's...
I'm out shooting foxes at long range, right? I would almost never dial wind, all right?
Mhm.
Now, if I was, I shoot at 243 and a 308. So if you're shooting really far, you're out past transonic and it's very windy, it's going to be a lot of wind to hold, right? So let's say I use a NXS with MOAR. If I have to hold something like 13 MOA or more, I'm going to dial that on, soak it all up, get back into the middle of my scope. I don't want to be holding out right on edge of scope. I want to be in the middle of my glass. It's probably the only time I would dial wind.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. But you generally will dial your elevation in that
Absolutely.
environment?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Ben, what about you, mate? In that hunting environment, let's say varminting or something like that, what's your main course of action?
Yeah, well, a lot of the varminting that I've done in the past, I've only done hold anyway. So I'll do a holdover because most of the spotlighting, one of my longest shots at night with a spotlight was 454 meters. Actually, I think the bullet is up. The casing is there.
Is that meant to be proof?
It's meant to be proof. Yeah,
Because I can see it.
Because
Wow.
and the photo is behind
that's
you,
proof.
actually on the wall of death that I've got. It is there. So I just did a.
Is that the one of you looking disappointed and dejected?
Yeah,
That's
no, that was the other one. That was
Okay,
that was what I ate just before. But no, it's so what with that sort of environment because it's a quick target acquisition.
Yep.
I would not sit there, whistle, whatever. I'd just hold and let go.
Yeah, sure.
And then shoot.
What reticle?
I'm using MOAR in mine too.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so I've got an XS with mine. With the 243.
I reckon I was going to say, that night we went out and I used your Seiko. Had a
Yeah, it was
rifle.
identical.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right. So that's one of when we're talking long range.
Okay. Let's move on to sort of long range.
Long range. Obviously, our last podcast that we were on with the Flinders trip was I was quite upset with. I could see. No, I wasn't upset. I could see the limitations of the gear that I was running.
Right.
To the point where I was doing more holdovers than I was dialing. Because of, I suppose they just did not have the magnification, first of all, to see the target. If I was then so I had to hold magnification back so that I could see the holdover.
That's right. Yeah.
Because
you really weren't dialing.
Both of them were second focal plane as well.
Mm.
So did you not have enough elevation?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
So I'd run out of elevation straight.
Yeah, you didn't have enough.
And I peaked out real early. So it was like, man, it was
doing it tough.
It was very tough.
Yeah.
So it was one of those things. And then I didn't have the two. I realized I had to swap around a lot of my gear too, because I had a couple other different brands on my bigger guns that I should have swapped out for the ones that I was using more so. So I had a 300 Win Mag Tikka Tactical that I had that I put a second focal plane high magnification scope on.
Yeah.
But it ran out of elevation
Real quick.
so quick that it was useless.
Yeah.
I'm not going to mention any names or anything. And then, so I should have taken the one off my 243 and put it on there and actually had that, because then I knew I had enough adjustment for elevation. So I could see that my choice for gear to take on a trip like that was limited straight away. Obviously, I still had some successful shots.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Which was great to be able to put myself under that kind of pressure to do something that was out of the comfort zone. Now that I've upgraded all my gear, the confidence level just goes through the roof with being able to dial at those long ranges, have it all set up, and then seeing where your splash is with, using a first focal plane, seeing where the splash is, recorrecting on wind, whatever it may be. And, and then just making sure you have a caliber choice that looks at the winds and laughs.
Nice way to put it. So back onto the spotlighting side of things, I'm in a bit of a the setup I've got is a 22-50, and it's got a Zeiss dye range on it, which is that fancy Zeiss that you press a button, it tells you the range. Now that's really good for spotlighting, as you know, Dan. I know you've been out before with me with it. But
we were doing a bit of competition shooting, and I was wondering how you were picking up the long shots so easily before me. I'm thinking, hang on, rangefinder. Cheater!
Sneaky bugger. That's it.
Well equipped, I'd like to say. Well
Yeah.
equipped. The downside of that scope is that the reticle is just a duplex. And it's not a very creative duplex. And also the turret is capped and not easy to dial and not numbered or anything. And I had debated for a long time because I can get either or both changed to dial or to hold. And you know what? I never made a decision one way or the other, so I never really got it done. And I probably still should get it done because the scope works really well. So it's an interesting one at the moment. I think a little while ago I probably would have got the dial done. But now I'm probably actually more inclined to get the reticle done.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So it is a second focal plane scope, but it is a 12 power. So I'm pretty comfortable running that
perfect,
at 12 power the whole time. So I guess the same for me. And prior to using that particular scope, I used an NXS 3.5 to 15, and that I held. Because it was it wasn't the MOIR reticle, because apparently I'm not in the club, but it was an MP1 reticle, which was similar. I guess
Very much the same.
Yeah, very similar in terms of measurement. So I would use that, and I reckon back then I dialed.
Yep.
But now I'd probably
At night.
At night.
Okay.
Yeah, but now I'd be much more inclined to hold.
Yeah. Because I was saying earlier that out hunting I would dial my elevation, but you guys keep referring back to spotlighting.
Okay.
And I would hold during nighttime because I thought we were talking about long range. But,
No, fair point.
I
So
mean,
in terms of
400
spotting-
metres is not a lot to dial. You wouldn't have time to dial, It's,
I think that's
know
where
your drops, hold, take the shot. Yeah,
where a lot of it comes down to. So into competition then.
sure.
What would you do? What would you suggest, or what do you use?
In competition, I will dial whenever I'm more comfortable with dialing.
Okay.
I think. So whenever I have the chance, I will dial.
But certain ranges only, though, right, Dan? Anything over a certain range and above, right? Because if up to 600 meters, your hold off by heart, it's not going to be.
I'll still dial.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I mean,
Might know the data
most
off by
stages
heart.
will give you enough time to dial.
Yep.
If time is of the essence, or I'm not allowed to dial, I am capable of holds. Yep. I think I like to hold center a scope.
PRS skill stage 4 is one where you're not allowed to dial. We sort of had
Absolutely.
a run through of that on the weekend.
Yeah.
And how'd that go for you? Was that?
That was good. I had no trouble with it, and it was kind of cool to get it because I hadn't used holds only and not been able to not touch my dials for a while. So when that stage we went through Course of Fire, I was like, okay, I haven't done this for a while. Cool. I remember how to do this.
Yeah.
Everything's going to be fine, Dan.
So come back to that for competition then.
Sure.
You say you dial your elevation.
Mm-hmm.
Clarifying, it is only elevation. What do you do wind-wise?
Same as hunting. It's just always hold wind.
Hold wind?
Yeah, I don't like
unless
to get
it's an
locked into a
extreme
wind.
amount.
Exactly,
Yeah.
which is usually for the extreme long-range shots, and you've got time to dial your wind, You got time to think about, make that more educated wind call, dial on the extreme amount of hold you might need. But on the fly, comp, hunting, whatever, it's always just holds.
Because even if you're dialing on that wind at extreme long range, the second follow-up shot is usually hold anyway.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to sit there
and you might make a wind call and you blah blah blah. Oh, I think I'm about 4 MOA. I'll dial that on and get ready for the shot, and then a big gust comes. Well, where am I now? Now I'm dialing back. I'm dialing forward. I'm getting lost. Holds are the way to go. Don't get locked into that call. I think
that's it.
That's my preference anyway.
What about you, Ben? Are you similar in that sort of more PRS style environment?
Yeah, I think so. I think I would dial more so than hold on those sort of...
For elevation or windage? Or?
For elevation, I don't think I would. I think I would just hold wind as well.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it's one factor that if you're at max power or anything like that with the gear that I'm running now, I think it would be much easier to recorrect than farting around with a windage dial anyway. And then especially if not only that, I mean the first PRS stage that I shot was an epic failure anyway, because remember I hadn't dialed in, or I hadn't put in the information properly into my dope, the doping. Like I didn't have the 50 MOA elevation that I already had.
Yep.
I hadn't accumulated any of those other factors in scope height. That was the main one. Yeah. Because I think I had it like 1.5 inches, and it's actually 2.85 inches above the barrel.
Right.
Which makes a massive difference when you're shooting 400 or 500 meters. So, huge mistake. But so that
it
just
gets a lot of people. That one.
Yeah. Well,
the one I like is when they put in millimeters rather than inches, or vice versa. Yeah.
Simple mistake.
Yeah. That always happens.
Exactly. Yeah. Things 12 inches above your. Wow, that's amazing. But yeah, so that was one of the things you can then. It's easier to correct when you're doing two different ranges.
Sure.
By dialing the second one, you're just worrying about your elevation. I'm not then going to worry about if there's, let's say, that one stage that we had with 3-stroke out there.
Sure.
As it went around the curve, the wind was reacting different out in the open paddock than it was next to the tree line. So it's like, okay, well, the wind's going to be slightly different, but I can handle that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So.
You just made me think of another thing where you might dial elevation and hold as well. You may be running a stage where you got 2 targets, and you might dial for the one.
Yep.
You might be alternating between the two.
This is my next question.
Both techniques.
Yeah, this is my next question. Is the combination stuff. So, look, I generally used to dial for a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
And then when I went up to Darwin, I obviously used a gun that I wasn't familiar with, and I found it a lot simpler because then I started doing a bit of combination stuff, and not being familiar with the gear, it sort of fell over real quick for me. So I just went, I'm just going to hold everything, because at least that way I know what I'm doing with everyone.
Yeah.
And from there, I did a lot better by doing that process. So I didn't bother about dialing, and I was using a scope I was not familiar with. So it worked. I found it worked a lot better to hold, and the reticle was appropriate for that. It was quite a useful reticle for that. Although it was like a not duplex. It wasn't a Christmas tree reticle, is what I'm trying to say.
It was like an MOA, or sorry,
it was a mil
dot,
or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was quite populated with information, but it wasn't wide in the windage stuff.
Yeah, sure.
And whereas I use the in the Carlas, the SK MR3 to Anna 3, which I find very, very useful to use in holding. So I guess I've gone to hold, and I've seen a lot of guys fall over trying to do combinations of both, and I've been in that process myself, and I think if you got really familiar with doing it and you're really conscious of doing it, but I see a lot of guys do it, and then they've dialed up a mill and they shoot a target and then they hold the next one, and then they go back and they hold again, but they hold from 0 up rather than remembering they got a mill dialed in, and it's quite an easy way.
It's not something that you can do on the fly, on a spare at the moment. It's something you need to
really practice
a bit.
Yeah, well, PRS pressure environment too always makes you think about. You got to think about everything. It's which is awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I think often people are asking which one should I do, and I've seen good shooters use both.
Yeah, well, my answer to that would have been practice both, because a situation can come up where it can be either. So
different stage, or whatever.
And adapt to anything, really.
Yeah.
Well, I even had to do that where I dialed half of it, and then held the rest because my scope's limitations.
And that's another one.
Yeah.
I found that last week we were putting that 260 out to a mile or just over, and I didn't have enough elevation. The scope only just shy a couple of mil, but I actually I dialed in. Look, I think it was about 26 mil or so. So I dialed in 24 or thereabouts, and I held 2. And it was quite windy. And so I thinking back on it, or after I shot it, I went, what would have been more ideal? Because I was holding in sort of open space, despite having a Christmas tree, because I was down to the second one. Is I should have actually taken 1 mil out of my dial, dropped down a mil of my reticle, and that would have given me a wider spread for my windage, which would have been the more sensible thing to do. But I only thought of that when I'd driven down the target to see where it hit it. So
that's a good thing about using round numbers too. I mean, obviously keep it simple.
Yeah.
Dial up 20, and then hold 6, because then you've got a plethora.
Yeah,
and I find myself doing that. Yeah, I'm always looking for easy numbers.
Yeah, well, that's right. Easy numbers to do, because then you're just worried about the little one.
If I've got like a 0.4 or a 0.8 or something like that to worry about, I dial it. Even if it drops me another mil off, I dial just the point, because it's harder to hold a 0.6 on the reticle than it is to hold a full mil.
Yeah.
And
totally.
Generally we'll find for that larger one.
It's funny how you think of these things afterwards when you're not.
I thought of that during it.
Yeah, that's right.
I only went 2 mil, not 3 mil hold, and it would have worked better with the reticle, I think. So, yeah, but anyway, that's what I found. So I guess we're trying to battle with that thin metal again. Get those Oreos out.
Tell me there's 2 left.
Sweet. Get into it.
They're good. Be better in coffee though.
There's that look again. There's that look.
He loves it. He's used to it.
Yeah, I know. So I guess we do get that question from time to time: is do I hold? Do I dial? And the answer's that they both work.
Both.
Both of them work as well. Really, I think if you're gonna really shoot a long way, you want that ability to be able to dial.
Yeah.
Because it's certainly, you could argue. You could argue that reticle is more accurate if it's a well-etched reticle and set right. But,
well, it has to be.
Well, it doesn't have to be, because it's not etched perfectly, or it's not set correctly.
From the get-go, it's more accurate.
You'd hope
without,
Yeah, because there's always going to be tolerance within your dial.
Totally.
That's not going to be sort of lining
Which
up
can all be worked out, but
correctly. Yeah, absolutely. You can work all that out, but that's certainly something to consider. Is there any other times where you'd sort of think of dialing, holding, or anything along those lines? I should clarify.
I just can't think of anything on the spot.
At wind, I'm like you guys. I very rarely dial wind. If I'm seeing a pretty constant over 10 mile an hour wind for the day, I might dial in a bit of maybe a couple of mil just to, depending on distance, but I'll dial in an appropriate amount, soak it up. So I'm still holding wind, but I'm holding from a certain point, like a 10 mile an hour baseline. And then I find that my turret only goes X amount of mil dialing one way or the other, so it doesn't go all the way around, so I can't end up on the wrong rotation, which is useful.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
You'd never end up looking like one of them idiots.
No, I do that quite often. In fact, regularly. But doesn't always have to be with shooting.
That's it.
You'd know all about that, Ben?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Good.
Did I miss something?
No.
Just Brisbane.
Tell me.
I'm not sure we're allowed to talk about much of Brisbane.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Vadco might sue us.
Yep.
But anyway.
Doesn't sound shooting related.
No, it's not. Yeah, not really. Not really.
It was a gun expo there. That was part of it.
I think one of the getting back on subject is that
why would we do that?
Yeah, why would we do that? I think the other limitation I found personally when we were on that trip with the limitations I had with the scopes was not being able to, like you said, if it has a cap turret on it, it's one of those things that you really don't want to expose a huge amount because it's not necessarily, you don't have a cap in your pocket for one. Two, it's one of those things that it's probably not set up to dial like a tactical turret.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
yeah, look, there are some cap that will dial well, but you're right. In general speaking, it's not that same. They're
not really designed usually to do that. So so that's one of the things I found was limiting. But then when we were starting to shoot long range, it was like, well, lock it in at 10.
Mm-hmm.
So then I know.
Yeah, that's your certain distance.
Then it's a certain distance,
and that's
then
got you 10.
Yep, and then I can do an easier hold from there. So that was just one of the other selection things that I looked at, because even the one that was very limited had a turret on it.
Yep.
No numbers, no nothing, just dots.
Yep.
Which then made it even more difficult to return, didn't have zero stop or any of that sort of thing. So it was just it was a nightmare, really.
Yeah, and
I'm trying to get it out of my memory, actually.
You keep bringing it back up.
I know. I've got it on my 22 now.
One of the I think one of the things that comes across is equipment that's suited for the task as well, because we've talked about. Actually, I'm not sure we talked about. We were talking earlier about a guy who was shooting with us on the weekend, and he had a duplex reticle, trying to do a tactical type shoot, a PRS style shoot, and it makes it tough. It makes it tough because you're dialing everything. There was that one stage we ran, which was you could only hold.
Yeah.
And
that would have been tough.
That would have been real tough with just a duplex, particularly one if he's not familiar where they go. Now, you can certainly make a duplex work for you if you set it up appropriately, and you can sort of make it work fairly well.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be not as ideal as having the appropriate setup. And then, we talk about Ben and the things he's trying to forget about not having enough ability to dial.
It's a really good 22 scope.
Yeah.
It's an awesome 22 scope now.
And not having that full ability to dial. And I know, actually, we saw that with some guys last week or so, where they had perfect, sensational scopes. They were using mixture of Night Force and Carles and something else, and the scopes were really good. The guns were really good. Everything was fine. There was nothing in their mounts, no adjustments, and so they were struggling to dial beyond 1,000 meters with guns that were capable, and truly capable of it. And just to prove the point, maybe it was a bit of one of those moves, but I sort of said, well, guys, you and I have the same scope for the two lads that did. Put my gun next to them and said, dial my turret up, and then they got 24 mil out of it, and they went, right, how'd you do that? So we talked about, canted
proper setup.
Yeah, real good setup. So with canted rail and a canted mounts as well, and sort of a lot went on. They've gone, right, that's. It's no equipment failure here. We just haven't quite got the right equipment for what we're trying to do. To be fair, prior to that, they'd never done it, so they didn't know what they needed. Yeah. So
I see a lot of that with people coming into the shop. They have this traditionalist mindset where setting up a scope means that they need to have it as close to the barrel as possible. And so that it looks streamlined. You don't want too much of a gap there. It's
that's
just
how I set my guns.
No, I'm not talking about you.
It looks cool.
You haven't been in my shop. Anyway,
you're not welcome in the shop.
That's right. But they have this traditionalist view where they think that you can't. It has to be low. It has to be nice and tight, because if you put too much elevation on it, they're worried about flex, and they're worried about all these other aspects of what's going to happen to the shooting. And as soon as I show them what I've set up on the M10, because I got a 30 MOA rail on it, and then I've got a 20 MOA mount.
Yep.
So I've got 50 MOA straight away. And they see that, and I start dialing my scope, and I'm like, it just keeps going. We're going to be here for a while, It keeps going for a while, and they go, wow. And I said, well, this is what setup I want to do so that we can shoot the 2,000 plus meters. You
Yeah,
know,
you
and that's
just-
what we want to do.
You're just making the most of the elevation available to you in the turret. Now, whether you hold that or dial it, it's nice to have it available.
Yep, totally.
Absolutely, because if you are going to be stretching out to those longer ranges, you need to have that there as an option.
Just curious, how much mil do you have in elevation with your setup?
It's got
34?
Wow.
I think about 34 from zero.
from zero.
Yep.
Yeah, wow. Nice.
It's a long way, man. It
Yeah.
just keeps,
Oh, yeah.
it winds out a long way.
You got mills coming out of everywhere.
Yeah, I know. It's almost based out,
Yep, for zero.
as in for zero.
Be like raining bullets.
Yeah, pretty much. Rainbow gun, remember? When I got my 308 on there, it's a rainbow gun.
Good. So I've got a question to ask you guys while we're here. Tell me if I'm mad or if this makes sense. So, Ben, don't answer yet. Let me get the information out, mate. That's better. Put the
I'm
mic
just
down.
hoping it's an easy question.
All right, now Dan, I know which way you're going to go with this one, but I guess I'm not asking you.
I guess
anymore.
I'm out.
Okay,
Over to
now,
you, Ben.
tell me if this
Put your
makes
mic down.
sense. I'll get there. This is my 338 we're talking. Okay, now I don't generally shoot this unless it's over 1,000 meters and beyond there. Further again. I've been thinking recently about moving that to a second focal plane scope rather than a first. Most of my Ben's eyebrows raised up. Most of my guns are running first focal plane because for sort of PRS style shooting and stuff, it generally makes more sense. But given that particular gun is never going to see a PRS type match, and if it is, maybe it's an extremely long range match.
You better start working out, too.
Yeah,
Because it's a heavy barrel. That's a big gun.
yeah. Not much more than my 260 to be fair, but thanks for noticing.
Sorry.
And the other thing, but I'm thinking about going to second focus plane because I'm not really going to be shooting it closer than 1,000 meters or so. So I'm generally going to be on a maximum power of 20, 25.
I've got one if you're interested. It's on my 22.
Thanks for your offer.
It's a perler.
It's a pearl. You're going to love it.
I heard it's really good. It's really good. Hopefully with 34 mil of elevation, that'd be good. But, I think, it's sort of easy to predict your subtensions, sort of get good subtensions on your reticle. There's less of a problem these days with first focal plane, but still, your second focal plane, you can really get appropriate subtensions. Running at maximum power and generally they're a bit cheaper for the given manufacturers and such.
Yeah.
Am I mad? Is that sensible? Is it silly? What do you guys reckon?
I think it'd be fun to try. I think it would be interesting to see, like you said, with cost-effective abilities to be able to use what you're going to be doing out at longer range. And like you said, if you have a nice, if you have a really good reticle on it, then I wouldn't suggest doing like a Plex or anything like that because you probably won't be doing very much with that if you even if you set it up well.
No, it'd be an appropriate reticle, but it'd be a reticle tuned for the top power. So it'd be arranged at say 25 power, let's say.
Yep.
Do you think I'm going to find many situations where I'm going to be at 1,200 meters and not be running max power? Let's say it's
Yes.
25. Yep.
Yes, but it's rare.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on the quality of glass. But
Well, let's say we're not skimping out on. We're going to get something good.
okay, yeah, cool.
Yeah. So we're at the top end, but we're still second focal plane.
The only way I can see it biting you is bad conditions with Mirage.
Yep.
And you need a wind down mag to cut through it. But that's pretty rare. It's happened to me once.
Yep.
Where I've wound down.
I've certainly encountered that.
Yeah.
And that's
the only reason I can think
it's
of.
present in my mind. Yeah.
Second focal plane will burn you. Yeah.
Ben?
Yeah, look, that would be obviously one of the limitations. I don't see anything else that's a huge... if it's set up correctly, like what you're talking about with having the right...
Yeah.
Right setup initially, I don't think that there'd be any issue with it as long as generally, like if with any second focal plane, you need to know what the reticle's set up for and all that sort of thing. So if you're going to if you were setting that gun up for that particular purpose, I don't see a massive issue with it.
I guess so.
because we have a lot of clarity here anyway, and long range shooting here. Yes, you do get mirage from, especially when we were up with the Flinders and stuff. We saw quite a bit of that.
Yeah, they see that everywhere. It's yeah,
But yeah,
totally. I guess I guess F-class shooters and stuff do that. They run commonly second focal plane scopes. So it's clearly it is done. And if do encounter the mirage side of things, it can always wind it back.
You can
and
always half the power, half the hold.
do corrections on that. I mean, I'm not
There's ways around it, absolutely.
going to be dialing most of it.
Yep.
It's only when you're pushing it really far where you really need to hold. But
Yep.
see, this is the other thing too, is that having the experience from looking at all the other issues that we've just talked about with setup, with magnification, with your holds, all that sort of thing, how you set it up, and doing that properly, you can make anything work.
Yeah.
You can make that, you know what I mean? And if you want to save a buck, you can make it work very, very well.
Yeah,
So-
I think that's very true, and we certainly can. You can make it work. I mean, make first focal plane work because we've been using that, and that works fine. It's not it's not to get away from that. It's to look at getting the ideal setup for the gun, and we're not generally big second focal plane fans for what we do, but I'm sort of thinking that's perhaps where one would really suit, or could be a really good option. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think if you work it through and go that way, I think you could actually get it to work really well, especially if it's gun dependent. Like you're not going to swap from
No,
different,
this is going to be a dedicated.
Yeah, exactly. I
dedicated
think
rig.
that's perfect for
Yeah,
that
no,
sort of thing.
not buying it for any. I've got scopes to put on the other guns for the other purposes. So yeah. So anyone listening, I'd be really interested to hear your thoughts if that's something you've done. I mean, go back 5, 10 years, 5, 6, 7 years. Or we're in second focal plane scope, so it's not uncharted territory, I guess. But we've shifted so much, and
I haven't.
I know, and that's why I said, we knew what your answer was going to
You
be.
know your answer was going to be.
but be able to provide backup for it, which you've done, Dan. I think that's
Sure.
that's good.
Yeah.
Well, I've only got one that's first focal plane in my selection anyway.
Yeah.
Everything else is second.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
So.
You've just got empty boxes of other people's scopes, I'm guessing. Then.
Oh no!
They
There's
have
two
to be
then.
all empty, surely.
They are empty because
Like
most
a-
of it are on the guns. But
There's two
a
first
warehouse
focal
here.
planes there.
oh yeah, that one. No, that was the client's. That one.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. You just like the box. Yeah,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Good.
I just haven't thrown it away yet.
So, guys, I don't know if you've been listening to the podcast recently, but what we've been doing the last few episodes is a question at the end of the podcast that says, "Would you rather?" Okay.
Missed that one. That's
No.
new to me.
All right.
You never told me about that
I know.
one,
Yeah, that's right. You just told us now, right?
But I'm going to keep it on topic for tonight.
Sure.
Okay. So I'm going to give you the choice, and you can only choose one or the other. All right.
Yeah.
Bear with me and make sure I get these out correctly.
Feels like a test.
It is. There's only one right answer.
Very pressured.
Is whichever one you give. So the two options. Would you rather? Would you rather get a scope that has really good turrets, excellent turrets, and really reliable and repeatable and stuff, with a duplex reticle? Or would you like the reticle of your choice, doesn't matter what it is, but it's capped and pretty useless turrets? They're reliable, but there's no numbers on them to dial. You can just use them to get zeroed.
I think we've answered this.
Reticle of your choice. Tell me what you're doing.
Radical.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, Ben.
Totally. It'd
Totally.
be radical.
Having said that, I will,
Oh, hang on. Here we go.
yeah.
I will not be happy with this. I will be annoyed that I can't dial.
But that's you don't get to dictate the terms of the would
The
you
question,
rather.
buddy.
You have
Too
to
bad.
one
You already
or
said
the
your
other.
answer. You can't take it back now.
You can't take it back. That's it. Damn it, because that means I generally have to take the opposing position. So I'm gonna go with the turrets.
As
dialing.
if you-
I know I'm going to.
as
I'm going
if
to, and
you
I'm going to
were.
back it up as
Yeah,
well.
sure.
I'm going to put it on my 338, and so I'm going to rely
yeah.
on those turrets to dial all the way out and get the gun set up really, really sweet, and just use my little fancy duplex reticle on it. All right, and get really good with the duplex. So that's our would you rather.
Yeah, I
for
hope
this
it's a
episode.
fine duplex for you too, buddy. A real
It's the-
fine one.
It is the finest duplex money can buy.
Oh yeah. Okay. Beautiful. Nice.
Oh, good. So we'll put that up on Facebook and get some answers from you guys as well. Brilliant. Gentlemen, thank
Cool.
you very much for your time.
You're
And,
welcome.
good luck with whatever shooting, exciting ventures you've got coming up
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow morning, mate.
tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, having a crack. What
Every morning, 8:30.
ammo sitting there ready to go for something?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, cool. Some trips coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. All right.
Hunting rabbits again.
Yeah, that's right. The black and white ones.
338 there.
They're very rare in these parts.
Oh, they are very rare around here.
They are now. All right, gentlemen. Thanks very much for coming in. Thanks, guys,
thanks,
for
Rusty.
listening. And
Cool.
we'll catch up with everyone again soon. Cheers.
Thanks for listening to the Precision Shooting Podcast. To continue the discussion, check out our Facebook page. And for more information, head to our website, www.precisionshootingpodcast.com.au. This episode was brought to you by STS Steel Targets, premium shooting targets and accessories.